background too, right? I'm Guyanese and Trinidadian, so
okay. My mom's Trinity and my dad's Jamaican.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, it's a tough combo.
Oh my God. So
a lot of fights. A lot of fights at home.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Trey Fan Podcast. I'm your host, Rashawn. I'm very excited for my next guest. You know, this is someone that I looked up to when I was a kid. He's interviewed the likes of Drake, Tom Brady, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe, obviously, R.I.P., LeBron. He's a legend in this scene, and he's such an inspiration. I'm so happy to have him here. And the crazy part about it, shout out to Marlon for saying this. The man still looks the same age when I was a kid. And he still looks the same age. He looks great. I gotta know how it is, but I'm at Cabbie Richards.
Thank you very much. Bro. We're gonna clap. We're gonna clap for ourselves. Yeah. Thank you for having me, man.
Of course, bro. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I know you're busy and stuff, but this is so dope that to have you here, man. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So obviously, how did you get into this career, and was this always like a first option?
Oh, was it the original plan? I mean, I'm looking at your T-shirt, and it's a Selena Gomez T-shirt, and it's not Selena Gomez, Selena, the artist, not Gomez. That was the slip of the tongue. And I only remember the Jennifer Lopez movie. I don't know her.
Talk about this, by the way.
I don't know her catalog or anything like that. But my North Star when I was younger, and I'm a lot older than you, was Will Smith. And when I was younger, I used to just rip off Fresh Prince of Bel-Air dialogue and just recite them to girls in high school. And then, so I'm stealing from this guy and whoever the writers were of that show, but like Will, and I went to high school in Cambridge, Ontario. I'm from Toronto, but we moved to Cambridge when I was 12. There was no path to be on television. There were like a few, actually, I don't even know if I knew any Canadians on TV. And when I grew up, like Michael J. Fox was on a sitcom called not The Facts of Life. He was on not Charles. I can't remember. It was after the Cosby Show, I think.
Yeah.
And he's Canadian. He's from Vancouver, but you know, as a black kid growing up in Toronto with Caribbean parents, there was no, I didn't know anybody that was Canadian that was on TV. So even though Will was my North Star and I wanted to be like Will, and I wanted his charisma and his charm and his energy and his wit, I didn't have any of that. However, when I was a kid, we used to make home videos. My parents would travel with my brothers playing baseball all over southwestern Ontario. And one of our friends had a video camera. So we would just shoot these terrible, thank God we were shooting these movies when the internet didn't exist. Bro, if these were on YouTube, we would not be having a conversation right now. I would have been canceled in 1997. They're so offensive and just the things I did, young
It was a different
idiots.
time though too, bro.
It was a different time, sure. I guess you could get away with a little bit more. However, still watching it today, and you know, I don't even know where those tapes are. They're in oblivion. So I knew that I wanted to entertain on television. I just didn't know the route. I just didn't know how to get there. And once I got accepted to Ryerson, formerly Ryerson, now TMU, Toronto Metropolitan University. Yeah. That's when I was like, oh, you can learn about the television industry. You can learn about the radio industry, and that's how you can get in. So when I got into a television station, it was called Headline Sports at the time. Then it was rebranded as The Score. That's where I saw how the sausage was made, and that's where I created the opportunity for myself to go do streeter segments where I'm like harassing Canadians, harassing other university or college students around the city. Go to Humber College, go to York University, go to my own campus, go to George Brown. Like I would just bounce around to these campuses because I knew the people there were my own age and I felt comfortable talking to them and asking them stupid sports questions. So that's how it wasn't you know what? Plan B was to be on television, but I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be Will or Denzel. Those are my heroes, but I didn't have the talent, nor, I didn't have the talent that those two legends have. So then I became you aim for the stars and you land on the moon. I aim for the stars. And I didn't just land on the moon. I just landed on like a couple blocks. I landed at like Yonge and Gerrard, where the campus was, and that's how I got here. That's
amazing, bro. And the thing is, I think even with your interview style, you could see Will like inspiration though. You know, even with the hand stuff, the way that, like, was that always something too, or was that something just? Did you ever notice that before?
I probably mimicked him in many ways, and it has just become a part of how I tell stories or how I'm just an animated figure. And you know, character is like, I just want to be friends with everybody. I enjoy having a good time around people. And so when I interviewed athletes, I was also always very physical with them in that I would hug dudes. I'd put my arm around guys. Like that was how I broke. That's how I disarmed them. So
to make them feel comfortable.
I tried to. I mean, some guys it was uncomfortable. There was a Chris Paul moment. I know he's no longer in the NBA, but I remember Chris Paul was just like, he just looked at me sideways. And like I was on question number 3, and he's like, "Are all the questions going to be like this?" I was like, "Yeah, man, yeah." And he's like, he looked over his head coach, like, "What's going on here?" He promptly left. There was another time where Amari Stoudemire, who's with the Phoenix Suns. I was making fun of one of his tattoos, and I learned that on the team plane, he was the guy that lost the most money. So I was like, "Oh, did you have to get this tattoo because you owed guys money?" Yeah. And it was probably super personal. And I don't even remember what was on his forearm. But he said, "What? Oh my gosh, that temperature got hot quick." Yeah. As they say, it escalated quickly. And I could feel the heat just rising up my neck, bro, constricting my throat. Because I was so uncomfortable. And he's like 6'9". I'm fat. I'm 6 feet tall. I'm like big, but he was like tall and like looked over me because he's like 9 inches taller. I didn't think he was going to hit me, but I was like, I didn't want to take the chance. So it's like, okay, man. And I just started, you know that Homer Simpson meme where he comes through the hedges? And he looks around and he recedes into the hedges? That was me. I was like receding into, like, let me get out of this Suns dressing room. So not everybody took to it kindly.
For sure. Me
being overly jovial or animated and just weird. I mean, part of the reason why Kobe, God bless him, I think part of the reason why he allowed me to be a clown was because I was so odd to him, and just so strange. And also, it helps that I'm Canadian, and I think we still have a great standing in the world as Canadians because people are like, oh, these are overly nice. I mean, there's some factions of us that are a little bit like, oh, our freedoms and all that kind of BS. Like, okay, just go take your trucks and go back to BC. But anyway, so like because I was a little bit strange to Kobe, and I didn't see him that often, he was like, oh, okay, I get what this guy's doing, and I'll have some fun. And there are other players who understood, like, oh, okay, I know what this bit is, and I know that I can lower my guard a little bit and have some more fun. I had this one time where I was interviewing. I interviewed Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan a bunch together when they were with the Raptors, and Kyle understood early. I was like, the more you treat me like shit, the funnier it's going to be. And I'm okay with it. Yeah. There's one time he went too far, but and we were, it was during, I think, the Raptors parade. I was on one of the buses. So there were 5 buses. I was on bus 4. He was on bus 3. He was on bus 3 with Kawhi, Fred VanVleet, Drake. Yes. And I was on the bus with Pascal, Norm Powell, OG Anunoby, and Patrick McCaw. Anyway, at one point, I think we pulled into around Nathan Phillips Square where the final part of the parade was, and he like sprayed water on me or something. Yeah. And he must have, you know what, now I think about it, it was, I don't know, 31 degrees Celsius. We were on those buses for 5.5 hours.
I was going to say, that day was probably hectic, bro.
No, on the bus it was fine. I mean, but around the city, there were 2.5 million people in the downtown core.
I was there too, bro. It was craziness, man.
It was supposed to take 2 hours to leave from where the OVO Performance Center is. So basically, like right behind. I don't know. I'm sure there are people outside of Toronto who listen to who watch the show. Just to explain the route, the route for non-Torontonians. So exhibition place, so just this area down to the route, 2 hours, and it took 5.5 hours. God. So there were guys, I remember Tim and Sid, I was working at TSN at the time, Tim McCallum 660 were working at Sportsnet, and they were live the whole time. So they're expecting, okay, we're gonna go up at 10, and then, the parade will end by 12:30, and then, we'll have, the members of the team will speak, that'll be 30 minutes, and then we'll wrap up the show. Yeah. They had to stretch for like 4.5 hours. Oh and what God. Do you talk about? After 25 minutes, do you go through every game? Game 1 against Golden State. Game 2, okay, I think someone got injured. I think KD got injured at game 5, or maybe it was Klay Thompson. But like, how do you stretch? And I never saw their broadcast, but Tim was like, it was one of the hardest days of my life.
I can only imagine trying to keep that engaged conversation for that long, because you're only supposed to go there for what, 2 hours basically?
Yes,
3,
dude,
4.
yes. And then, this is why Anderson Cooper at CNN makes the big bucks, because when he is just dropped into the eye of a hurricane or like some kind of natural disaster, and like, all right, let's go to Anderson Cooper, and this guy's got he's got an umbrella that's strewn. He's got a duck out of the way from flying debris and like a 2x4. But then the bro's there for like 8 hours straight. Like, let's go back to Anderson Cooper, and he's like,
and he's still there.
The winds are still 130 miles an hour. It's still Category 4. I'm here with this meteor. Like, it's got you. That's why you get paid, to stretch and keep the show going when you're live. And there are no updates. You just have to like make things up. It's a skill that I don't have, but I respect people.
I commend it a lot. That's
who can
for sure.
who can just stretch and just talk and have coherent thoughts for extended periods of time, which is not what I do in any of my segments, be it with Kyle or DeMar or whomever.
But I think what makes your thing so unique, and that style in particular, was the fact that it kind of brought out a side we didn't see in the athletes, really. And obviously, like, most of them were willing to do it and be open to it. Even with the Kobe one, like, I think my favorite one was the limo.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
I think that segment was hilarious.
Thanks, man. Thanks. That was yeah. I think by then I had worn him down enough where he's like, okay. Because that was in 2009 2009. Yes. Because he won an MVP in 2008. And we had recovered, like, the Lakers had launched like this MVP campaign for Kobe. And he had this like sash with these buttons, like MVP 2000. Almost looked like a presidential
with all the stuff, right?
Yeah, all these like buttons, and he hadn't seen it before. And I gave it to him in the back of the limo. He goes, "Oh, let me see that." So yeah, that's how I know it was 2009. But yeah, it was he didn't know what we were doing. He's like, "Why is there a limo outside?" And the practice facility. He's like, "Where are we going?" I'm like, "We're going to your house." He goes, "We're not going to my house." I'm like, "Oh no, let's just go towards your house." Yeah. And we ended up just going like 2 or 3 blocks. He's like, "Okay, Cab, this is enough." I was like, "All right." And his security guy Mike was just behind the limousine as we just did like a one loop around where the practice facility is in El Segundo, just near the airport in LA. But I earned his trust over many years because I was just going to crack jokes, and it was a goal of mine to crack the athlete, meaning
for sure,
break them in some way where they laugh, or the even better is like when they play along with the thing, which is like incredible. Like, I'll give you an example. Maybe my favorite example of this is David Ortiz, who was playing for the Boston Red Sox. I did a bit about using hip hop references with baseball twists. Yeah. So I gave him, hey, Poppy, what do you think of these captions? And I put them on t-shirts, just generic gray t-shirts. And the one that he chose, he's like, I got 99 problems, but a pitch ain't one. Yeah. And before I did that segment, I was working at TSN, and Tim McAuliffe was working at Sportsnet. And Tim had invented that saying. I mean, obviously it comes from Jay-Z's 99 problems, but he's the one that like did the little remix for, and he put it into his highlights. So like, I remember the first time he was singing it, like Mike Piazza, because that song came out on the Black Album in 2004. So Mike Piazza, I think, was still playing with the Mets or the Dodgers. He hit a home run, and he's like, Mike Piazza's got 99 problems, but a pitch ain't one. Home run, 3-run shot to left field. Whatever the call was. I mean, Tim would do it better. Tim, can I use this saying? He's like, yeah, man, of course. Yeah. So I'm there talking to David Ortiz. I present him the t-shirts. What do you think about these slogans? He goes, oh, I love this one. He goes, I'm going to wear it in the game. I was like, bet.
Oh, he's sick.
In the game against the Blue Jays.
Oh my God.
I can't remember what inning, but bro hit a 2-run home run to right center field, absolutely pimped it. And as he's slowly trotting around the bases, his Red Sox jersey, like the top 2 buttons are undone. So flapping under his jersey is the t-shirt, because I could see the font of the words. I'm like, that was, and then my producer, Dave Cricks, we were celebrating, bro. Like someone actually, like like this little gag joke when a player embraces it in their real lives. Yeah. That's like it was like we won the Super Bowl. There are a couple others.
Yeah, probably it was like a moment that you actually made it at that point.
Yeah, there was a wide receiver named Calvin Johnson. His nickname was Megatron. He played for the Detroit Lions. We went to Detroit once, and Dave had sourced out, he found a Megatron, and then he hired a local artist to paint it in Detroit Lions colors and put 81 because he wore 81.
Yeah.
We drive to Detroit. I had it in a case. I presented it to him. 15 years later, he's doing a random interview for Dan Patrick. He's like, "What's that? Is that a Megatron action figure behind you?" And he's like, "Oh yeah. It's I got it from a TV station in Canada." I'm like, "It's in his home. It's like on his mantle." I'm like, "Oh man." So those were those moments didn't happen often, but we took it as a point of pride when the athlete would co-sign some antics that we did that we came up with. He's like, I enjoyed this so much, I'm going to keep this this memento or keep this gag. The last one for you. When I interviewed Aaron Rodgers for the first time when he was with the Green Bay Packers quarterback, at the time he was known for photobombing. So the captains on the Packers would take like a photo on the sidelines, like the week 4 captains, week 5 captains on like greenbaypackers.com. They have like photos of the game. Packers beat the Bears 23-17. So you go through the carousel, and these photos would pop up on social because it became a thing where he's just in the background, just having like a face, doing a funny face behind people. So it was photobombing. So we did this bit where we photoshopped Aaron Rodgers into these like iconic photos. So there was one where, Muhammad Ali is in the ring with the Beatles, and he like pretends to knock out the Beatles. There's another one where like the Rat Pack, so it's Frank Sinatra's talking to Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin, and then like Aaron Rodgers like in the background in black and white. There's the famous photo of the kissing couple during the Vancouver riot. So the Vancouver Canucks lose the Stanley Cup Finals to Boston in Vancouver 4-0, and then there was a riot, and there's a couple that's just laying on the road making out, and in the distance there's like fire, and there's like I think it's a police car on fire. We photoshopped him into that photo. So I was very lucky to spend some time with Aaron Rodgers. So when I went to his house in Green Bay, he had the photos like in his basement,
so crazy.
like next to his bar. He's like, "Cab, I still have these." I'm like, so those are 3 moments which give me an incredible amount of pride because we were able to break through the athlete, to the athlete in a way that special, they kept it, unique way. Yeah,
that's so dope that they actually kept it. And like that was actually one of my questions was, where do you guys even come up with these kind of concepts? Because this is very different, especially back then too. Like this wasn't really seen in the major networks and stuff.
We, I got to credit my producer, Dave Cricks, my producer at the time, because Dave would come, if we had 10 ideas, Dave would come up with like 9 bangers, and I'd have like one, like, ooh, that might be a double. And our bosses at TSM were like, we just didn't want you to hit 2 home runs a year. Yeah. And I was like, what do you consider a home run? He's like, a Kobe interview. I'm like, okay, so that's all right. That's the bar. I'm like, all right, well, we got to deliver something else. So the story that I like to tell about one of these quick brainstorms, and Dave and I would talk on the phone, and then we would just like talk it out. Like, okay, we have time with, I'll tell this story. Yeah. We were downtown at an office. We were like on Queen Street at one of the CTV offices, and we just recorded a podcast. And I had a podcast about 10 years. I started one in 12, and it lasted about 7 years. It wasn't that consistent. Anyway, we did a podcast. Yeah. And then we were going to get time with Drake the next day. Drake was going to be announced as the global ambassador for the Toronto Raptors.
This is like, I think 2014.
14.
Yeah, around that time, yeah.
So we're like, man, what are we gonna do? And then so we're just kind of talking like, okay, how do we? What is it about Drake? Like, what are the things that he does? Obviously, he's this great artist. He has a record label. He's an actor. And then we're like, all right, he's okay. So now he's the ambassador. And then Dave's like, what if we made him business cards?
The cards, right? Yep.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, what else? Like, what, okay, so the record label, he's an artist, he's an actor, an ambassador. Is there a 5th one? So then Dave, he was always great with like design apps. So he just whipped up these little business cards and we printed them. So the next day we go to Scotiabank and Drake is doing what is called a car wash. So there'll be one location and the talent would just go from room to room being interviewed by different people.
Okay, cool.
So it's kind of like
kind of
car
like
wash.
Car wash, yeah.
Like it's more like an assembly line, but we call it the car wash. So anyway, when Drake, he doesn't he doesn't know what to expect with me. So, and this is one of the most fun I've had in an interview because I'm showing him the business cards and he has a genuine laugh. And he's like, this is, I think he says it's the highlight of my day, or this is the best one. And like one of the cards was because I'm fat, like I had them in my pocket and like one of the cards like kind of bent. So when I handed it over to him, he goes, oh, this one looks kind of worn. I was like, I had to quickly improv. I was like, you know what? And it just said like Drake, at Drake. I was like, this is the one you give to girls. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I actually got that from a girl, so I have to like take that back and give it back to her. Anyway, he rolled with it. But it was, that was one of those examples of just, we talk on the phone or we talk in person and we just start, it's almost like we have like a mind map or like a brainstorm cloud. And we just start saying words or terms and just seeing where that can go. Yeah. Sometimes we would just, if we're like, okay, we're going to go do interview somebody on Friday, we have a couple of days. All right, let's talk on Thursday in case we have to go make something. Yeah. And then in that phone, so then we would have both had some time to be apart, come up with some things. When I thought of ideas, I always tried to think of what would Jimmy Kimmel do or what would Jimmy Fallon do? So, Conan O'Brien was my favorite of the late night TV hosts.
I love Conan.
Conan is so good. So smart, like so fast. And I think their shenanigans were wilder on Conan O'Brien. Yeah. But Conan, Jimmy Fallon, they had the access to these A-listers all the time. Yeah. And here we are, Dave and I just working at like a sports channel, starting at The Score and then TSN, but we didn't have a writer's room. Like those guys have like a room of like 20 writers.
We give them all these ideas that they see. Yeah,
Dave and I. Yeah. So for some of the segments that we did that were more planned, it wasn't just like me and an athlete just talking. It was like, all right, we'll write some dialogue, blah, blah, blah. Those ones I really tried to lean into, what Kimmel or Fallon would do. And they didn't really work all that often. Had a couple of wins, but it's always very hard. But a brainstorm is kind of how we would, and there were a couple of guidelines. Like the guidelines were, and these were internal guidelines. These weren't anything that the network says, like, how much time do we have with the athlete? What would they be willing to do? And 3, what can we get away with? Yeah. And we had those considerations, and that's kind of where that was the sandbox that we played in, and we always tried to make something memorable that wasn't just like white noise that people can just scroll past.
No, for sure. What was your first big interview, and how did you prepare for it?
The first big one was I was working on a basketball show, magazine show called NBA XL. It debuted in November of 2002. Yep. And I was working with a co-host named Nemegeni Kiwanuka, who's still on the air. She works for TV Ontario. And it was in the style of NBA Inside Stuff. And it's just like basketball culture. It wasn't a lot of analysis. There were highlights. There was music, culture, fashion, streetwear, that kind of thing. And we got to go to a Reebok commercial in New York. And the Reebok at the time had signed 5 players: Jalen Rose, Baron Davis, Steve Francis. I can't remember who the 4th was. And the 5th was Allen Iverson. Yeah. So I got to go and we was there for 2 days, and I would get to interview all 5 of the players in this commercial. And so Iverson was the biggest star. Yep. And I was like, man, how am I going to crack Allen Iverson? Like and the thing that got him, I was like, well, you're small in stature, but you play big like a superhero. Who's the superhero that you think of when you step onto the court? And he's like, well, Superman. Because I'm like, why Superman? He goes, because I take down giants, something like that. Yeah. And then I think I brought him some sunglasses. I'm like, how about these? What do you think of these? Like these shades? And then he's like, oh, I like these Wolverine shades. They kind of look like Wolverine. And that's when he started to like smile. Yeah. And Iverson was always kind of prickly, and he was kind of tough with the media. I know Stephen A. Smith had a great relationship with him because of his time at the Philadelphia Inquirer. I did not have the relationship with Allen Iverson. I was a stranger from Canada and, stealing 3 minutes while they're repositioning cameras. Like, I go in for my interview and then
Quickly,
and then away he goes. So that was like and then the next big one was later. So later in 2003, I think that was maybe like January, February of 2003. In April or May, I interviewed Pedro Martinez. And Pedro Martinez was the ace of the Boston Red Sox at the time, the most dominant pitcher of his era.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't know what can I do with Pedro, just outside of the dugout before batting practice ends. So we got us a speed gun. I was like, Pedro, I want to have a throwing contest with you. He's like, all right. I'm like, well, instead of we're throwing with our rights because he's right-handed, I'm like, let's throw with our lefts.
Yeah.
So I threw 30 on the gun, and Pedro threw 60 on the gun.
Oh my God, even with his left hand?
With his left hand. And we had the
crazy.
Yeah, it was awesome. But he was so down to do it, and we got him on a non-pitching day. Thank God it lined up.
Yeah,
and he was playful. But that's those are like two big ones for me. And I think in that same year, I got to interview Kevin Garnett, who was like who I was like, I had immense amount of respect for, because I just love how ferocious he was, frothing at the mouth, barking at dudes.
His energy was different, man, and it just set the whole tone of the game.
Yeah,
it's one of the best, man.
I even love Garnett now, like him and Paul Pierce when they have their
podcasting is hilarious, bro.
Yep, yo, Lord. Toronto Lord, like he has a lot of props to Toronto. I've seen him out in Toronto, and shout out to Vince Carter, who had Inside Nightclub, who had changed the culture of nightlife in Toronto. Yeah. And NBA dudes, when they're in the city, they would go there and they would hang out, and they would just have the best times,
I didn't even know bottle service was a thing until like Vince's the whole nightclub stuff. Like he was the one that brought it down here.
Until Travis Agresti and Vince brought like bottle service culture to Toronto, and then that was a staple for for a long time. How
do you think Vince's impact has been portrayed, like obviously over the years? Like when he first left, it was obviously very rough, but I think it's so nice to see how much has changed. What was your relationship like with him?
Vince taught me an important lesson. Vince taught me that even though we're friends on camera, we're not friends off camera. Yeah. So there was a night where I was at Inside and Vince was there and he was partying, and I was like trying to get his attention, and he just ignored me. Yeah. And it hurt my feelings deeply, but it was a lesson like, bro, why are you bugging this guy at 1 o'clock in the morning? He's there with a shorty. Like,
let him do his thing. Yeah.
Let him do his thing. I didn't have the self-awareness at the time to understand that like this, like, even though we're in a public place, like he's having a private moment with this person. We're on the dance floor, we're dancing, and I'm sweating, and Grey Goose is coursing through my pores, Grey Goose are just coming through my forearms. But that was important, and I was then more cautious afterwards.
Of how you approach.
But I've since made that mistake again. But it was a good experience to learn that, like, hey, just because we're like buddy chummy on camera doesn't mean that we're boys off camera.
For sure. How old are you when this was like happening?
I was like 25, and Vince was. I think we're both. He might be 2 years younger, either the same age or a couple years younger than me.
Yeah, for sure. What was probably your biggest challenges you faced, like bringing this vision to life?
Well, access is always hard. Yep. It's getting time with athletes to do something is always a challenge. It's even more challenging now, but getting permission. There are gatekeepers in this world, like PR directors or managers of communications. Like they're the ones that say, yes, you can come to the stadium. Here's your press pass. We'll give you, because you're affiliated with a network and you're not just like, CabbieShow.com. You're not just like some blogger. not to slight bloggers, but you know, when I was coming up, like TV was still very important, and then sports networks had a lot of power.
Yep.
Or could at least get you, like at least someone would respond to your email.
And you just kind of open the door, basically, in a way.
Yes, and then if they didn't know you, like, oh, we're a small, you know, we're a network from Canada, blah blah blah. So they're just reading this email, like, okay, fine. There aren't a lot of requests for this athlete today. Yeah, you can come and interview them. Or sometimes they're like, yeah, you can come and you could ask the person yourself, but we're not making any guarantees.
Yeah.
Which is also always a risky proposition, but I felt confident once I got into the room, and then I was able to speak the same language as the player, be it a hockey player or a basketball player.
Yeah.
And I was always wearing t-shirts and baseball caps. I didn't have a traditional look, and I wasn't a traditional reporter. I wasn't there with a notepad, terrible sneakers, and you know, and a bad shirt. I mean, I probably wore some bad shirts, but I at the time I didn't think my style game was probably less than desired. However, I still felt I looked better than the beat reporters. But once I got in the room, I felt confident I can get some time with some people. So the challenge was generally access, like getting time with players.
And, you know, briefly we were talking about it, like before we start recording, was how media has changed, obviously, now. And you said, like, even though you have such a history with certain networks and stuff, it's even hard for you now to reach out to people, or just talk to me a little bit more about that.
It is hard to get time with players. It's just they aren't beholden to the media networks as much as they were before, pre-COVID. So if guys don't want to do an interview, they have to do an interview. They can do an interview with the social media manager who's 26 that works for the team. And then they'll do, all right, pineapple on pizza, yay or nay? And like, no. You know, they'll walk, as they're coming into the stadium, there'll just be a sign with a question, and then like,
yeah,
it's like, are aliens real? And like, absolutely not. Absolutely yes, 100%. And then they'll have a collection of clips, a lot of fun social stuff. Yeah. So some players will just rely on doing that, and then other players who may enjoy being in front of the camera a little bit, they will give some time to, you know, a show or a platform that they deem worthy or it's worth their time. So, you know, in the United States, there's obviously ESPN, there's Fox, but there's the Dan Le Batard show, there's Dan Patrick show, Bill Simmons, Pat McAfee. I don't know if anybody says no to Pat McAfee because his show is just like a vibe. It's a fun time, and he's curated it that way. Even Shannon Sharp, I don't actually know if Shannon Sharp actually gets that many current players, but what has also changed post-COVID is that players are starting to control their own narratives with their own platforms. Like Dwayne Wade has a podcast. Yeah. Dwayne Wade is one of the best 75 players ever to hoop in the world. Yep. He's got a pod. You know, Carmelo Anthony's got a pod.
Even Vincent T-Mac, they have their cousins on.
Vincent T-Mac have a pod. I love Jeff Teague's pod.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Draymond Green is a current player with a pod. Fred VanVleet has a podcast. Yep. You know, and I know I'm just talking about basketball players. In hockey, the Kachuk brothers just started one. They're like the last ones in to the forum, like as far as the four major sports. Yep. The two Kelsey brothers have a monster platform called New Heights. Jason and Travis Kelsey. Baseball, Mookie Betts was doing a podcast for a couple of years with Bleacher Report. Micah Parsons of the Cowboys, or now the Green Bay Packers, has a podcast. Von Miller, so a lot of guys. There are a lot of places where athletes can tell their stories, and it's now with traditional media types. Yeah. So they can just go where they know they'll be comfortable because they're speaking with another athlete, and then there's a trust, there's a shared experience, and they'll feel comfortable because they know they won't anticipate any like gotcha type of questions. Exactly. Where sometimes journalists do that,
and it still happens till this day. That's why, like exactly what you're saying is just they're able to control their narrative more and whatever content they want to push rather than being subsided in a way. And also, and when if I'm some football player and I'm going to speak to Cam Newton, I know it's going to be like a fun time because he's a bigger than life character, but also like there are some things that Cam's just going to understand about playing in the NFL that me, Cabbie Richards, won't have any idea about because I barely played high school football, you know? So access even in this day and age is even tough for me to get. Obviously you covered, athletes and entertainers. Do they approach the fame differently when you are interviewing them?
That's interesting. I guess it matters who is around them in the moment. So let me see if I can give you a good example. There are, when interviewing entertainers or actors, there are generally more people around. So when I go to in the past, when I've gone to a press junket, so The Rock is promoting a movie.
Yeah.
So The Rock will be, again, like that car wash example, we'll be in a hotel, we'll be on the third floor. And in this case, the reporters will go from room to room. Go to room 301, go to room 310.
Yeah.
The Rock's in 301, Kevin Hart's in 310, and Jack Black is in room 319. So the reporters kind of rotate while the actors just stay in the room, and every 4 minutes or 5 minutes, there's a new face that sits down with them. That's like a legit car wash. So when the actors have to go take a break, or they go get food, a small team moves with them. Yeah. I've seen it with The Rock. We were somewhere in Beverly Hills, and there was 10 people around The Rock while he moved around.
Yeah.
So that's one example of like the people around them kind of heighten the emotion or tension because, I don't know, it's like a big movie star, I guess. And then like athletes are, not to say that Rock is not chill. Yeah. Athletes are generally chill, and they speak to the media every day. So like it's not like you're an actor and you're doing a press junket, which you might do 2 a year because you're generally shooting. Athletes speak to the media every single day or like every other day, so they're just more used to it. And the other people that are around are just their peers, their coworkers, other players, and there's like sometimes there'll be one PR person standing or like just outside of the frame next to the athlete just to make sure things stay, the track stays on the track. And if stuff goes sideways, they can interject. Like, okay, that's a last question. And they'll just yell that audibly just to let the athlete know, okay, I'm almost done here. And let the interviewer know, like, hey, wrap this thing up.
Yeah. So obviously you've interviewed stars across the leagues. What superstar I think most surprised you like off camera?
Superstar, huh? They're all, who surprised me the most?
You've interviewed a lot too.
But I have, but the window for interviewing these, and this is the part that people watching this may not understand, is you get like anywhere from 3 minutes to 7 minutes with these people. Yeah. And that's it. It seems like forever because you're just watching on YouTube or, maybe the full video is like 4 minutes. Yeah. But it might feel like, oh, this guy spent 2-3 hours with Kevin Hart or the whole day with Drake. But really it's just like a small, I guess maybe it was Mike Tyson. Yeah. I went to Mike Tyson's house. Oh, sick! And at this time he lived just outside of Las Vegas in the suburb called Henderson. And Mike was so calm. I mean, we're in his home, obviously, so that's like different because like
it's like your safe haven in a way, basically.
Well, theirs for sure. Yeah. And we're a guest, and we were super like. So it was myself, my camera, my producer Dave, and a camera guy, and we were just like quiet as mice because we didn't want to interrupt like the feng shui of his house. Also, it's like Mike Tyson. Yeah. Listen, we interviewed him 3 years after The Hangover. So he he reestablishes his fame for like a whole new audience because he has this great moment in The Hangover where he punches one of the characters and he has like these tigers. So I'm in his backyard. I'm asking about tigers. He said, no, I don't have any tigers anymore. I had 6 at one point. He has pigeons at his house, but he was so calm. But there was a moment, Rashawn, where like I was looking at him in the eyes and I could see like a glint of the ferocity. And I imagined looking at Mike Tyson in the ring and what that stare would look like. And I could see how you have to be so mentally strong and like you could be you can have fear, but you have to have so much confidence to stand in the ring against someone who could take your life.
Yeah.
That's how devastating he was as a fighter. So he didn't really get animated, but there was a moment where I was looking at him like, oh my gosh, that's Mike Tyson. I'm like, I feel a type of way. I'm looking into the eyes of a lion, bro. Yeah. And he was at times playful, and at other times,
but at any point, probably
very introspective. So that was so that I think maybe Mike was one who surprised me. And also, he at one point he was the baddest man on planet Earth. Like he was that dude. Before we said he's him, Mike Tyson was him.
He was him, man. So talk to me about like your personal and reflective life. Was there ever any moments in your career that like genuinely changed you?
Many. Getting feedback in real life is very rewarding because we operate in a little bubble. It's like you're speaking to a camera, there's someone next to you. I take the footage in the edit suite, we cut it, and then it airs or it's posted, and then you have no idea who consumes it or where they consume it or when they consume it. And because I've been lucky to have like a long career and I've done some cool things over time, when I see someone, they'll remember they'll remember how I made them feel or how the athlete made them feel. Maybe not like, oh, I remember you asked them this, or Iverson said that, or Kobe said this. They'll remember just how they felt about it. And then getting that feedback's very, very rewarding. So that probably changed me because I started to, you never know who sees your stuff or like when or how. So it always feels quite special when someone take the time to say, "Hey, man, you were very generous off the beginning, just saying that you used to watch my stuff when I was growing up," and that's remarkable because that you found it on Channel 53 when the score
Channel
was,
53,
when it was on, and my dumbass or Tim or Sid would pop up there, and we just have our antics, and we're just in this little bubble because we just don't know who sees it. So that's, and then like relationships, learning the dance and the art form of forming relationships, building relationships, maintaining relationships, sometimes destroying relationships. Yep. All that interpersonal stuff that you learn that there's no, I'm not in third year at Ryerson, like, all right, there's a class, maybe there's a class now at TMU about interpersonal relationships or like dealing with rich and famous people and like navigating
navigate that, yeah.
Because all these guys are different. Some guys will text you back immediately. Some guys, I'm sure on my phone, I've texted and I won't reveal, probably 10 times. No response.
No response, yeah.
And that's just how it goes. I made this comment before. It's like courting a beautiful woman. Yeah. Like you want her attention. You can't be aggressive because you don't want to.
You don't want to be too much, push them away.
Yeah, you don't want to have them be like, "Yo, what's wrong with your man?"
Yeah.
And I've definitely made that mistake over time. I told you the Vince Carter story. There's early in my career, I made the mistake with Alex Ovechkin. We became friends and we were messaging, and I messaged him too much, and then the responses were just like fewer and fewer. And then it's just like, oh man, I just effed this up. Like and I haven't seen Ovi in many years, but like maybe if I saw him, he'd be like, oh, I remember your stupid face. Yeah. He might say that to me in broken
Messaging
English.
Guy.
Yeah. But I was just too excited to like, hey man, let's do. And here's another thing that I learned is like, you have to treat, even though as fans, sometimes we don't see the humanity in athletes or entertainers. We're just like, oh, this guy's making this much money. We just see them as a product or as like someone on your fantasy football team or your fantasy hockey team, baseball team, whatever. But you have to remember when you're talking to these guys, they're human beings. Like first. Yeah. So, and during COVID, it was actually a great time to reconnect with a lot of people because we were just sitting at home for the first 4-6 months, not doing anything. Yeah. We're just waiting for like science to do its thing, get the research, develop the vaccine, get people, moving like out in the world again. But that was a time where there's a lot of like conference. I had like phone calls with dudes because I was living in Las Vegas at the time, and I would go. Obviously, I would leave my place and go because you just need to get out of your wherever your house or your condo, wherever you live. It was
tough, man. It was a tough time.
It was a tough time, but it was like I learned like, hey man, sometimes before I ask you, Rashawn, for something, like I should check in with you just to see how you're doing. How's your 4-year-old? How are things with your girl? I was one of my hockey dudes a couple days ago. Our conversations are about being dads and about like he wants to play another year in the NHL.
Yeah,
and he has to have another tough conversation with his wife because his wife's like, we have kids, and like, and he's like, but my whole life I've dreamt of this dream that I'm living, and he's kind of like, how can you deny me the dream? But also, I have this immense responsibility because now the kids are the more important thing in my life than me continuing to pursue this hockey dream. So we speak as like regular dudes, and I've been lucky to form a bunch of relationships like that. But I've absolutely made a bunch of mistakes in the past.
Of course, and I think like it's probably nice for you to obviously like all these people that you interviewed and connect with them on a personal level, right? Is there lessons that they've taught you too?
Well, yeah, one, treat them like a human too. Yeah, some guys are. That's a great question. Let me think about this. What have I learned from some dudes? I'm trying to think of someone specific. That is a wonderful question, dude. Yeah, that is fantastic. Some guys are more interesting than they like beyond what they do for a living, which is, the top 1% of the 1% being, 400 people that can have this job in the world or, be a professional baseball player, be a professional basketball player, et cetera. And then some of their like interests and hobbies are like, you're into fishing? Like, that's interesting. Just because, like,
you would never guess it.
You never guess it. You could just there's a connection to nature that is important as a human, and you could just be away from everything. Some dudes, when the season's over, they're just like off the grid for a little while, and then they come back on the grid. And sometimes as fans, we just think about the money, like, oh, your life must be so easy. But like, no, it's not always easy. Like, money will give you choice, but it doesn't necessarily buy you happiness. I mean, I heard it said once where having money doesn't make you happy, but not having money can definitely make you unhappy. Yeah. But going back to choice, like these guys have, some of them really take the responsibility of their platform, like very seriously. I think of Nazem Kadri, who, when he won a Stanley Cup with Colorado, he took the Stanley Cup to the mosque. It was the first time the Stanley Cup was ever in a mosque in London, Ontario, where he's from. Yeah. I'm like, that is a great sense of like obviously you're bringing this. You're merging two worlds, and he's
that's never really been seen. Yeah,
that's never happened before. Yeah, there aren't a lot of Muslims that play in the NHL, and Nas is one of them. And he has an opportunity this year. I don't know when this is going to be posted, but opportunity to win another one with Colorado, going back to Colorado. Yeah, and he has a deep sense of community, which is very important. I've been to his golf tournament just outside of London, where it's all family run. His mom runs the show. Sue runs the show. His dad is the mayor, and then his cousins and his sisters. Like I'm like, oh, this is a great sense of community. And then there's a bunch of buddies and like people from London who are supporting the causes that his donation donates to. So anyway, that's okay. So who they are, what they do isn't always who they are, but
just what they are. Yeah.
But for some guys, when their career is over, the transition to like just a regular citizen is very difficult. Yeah. As men, many of us, and this is one of my flaws, like my identity is wrapped up in what I do. Like I've been an interviewer, a personality in sports for my whole adult life. And that's very important to me because there weren't many like me before me. So I carved out this lane of pop culture and sports that didn't exist in Canada before. So that is like very important to me. And I've been very fortunate to influence a younger generation.
Influence me, bro.
Thank you. And I made great friendships with like the younger dudes who are much more talented than I am and funnier and take bigger risks. And who just like I think of Teddy Tong at Much Music, or Jesse Georgie, who's a creator Kyle Parkinson. There's a bunch of young dudes that I am Trezor Gray.
He's mad cool in person, bro. I got a chance to meet him actually.
Yeah, once. Taller than you thought, right?
Yeah, like way taller.
Yeah, he's like 6'2" or 6'3".
I went to the charity basketball game with him and Marlon and stuff were there because I also work with Toronto Top 6, like that Instagram team.
Oh, cool.
So we were part of the media team, and so I got to meet them and they were like mad cool. But like I was shocked with how tall. I'm like, bro, you should be like hooping more. What the hell? Like,
but he's so talented as an artist and as a creator.
His craft is really good. Yeah,
and bro, he wrote a jingle for Pizza.
Yeah,
like his voice is on these commercials with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. that were airing during the World Series. Like it's like, I mean, he's so talented. But I don't know how much. I only met him once. We shot a little thing together. He was complimentary, but I don't know if I've directly influenced him. But he's part of a younger cohort that's really embraced entertainment and just challenging yourself to do things that are outside of the box.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously you've heard the saying too, where they say like, sometimes it's better to not meet your heroes, right? I'm assuming obviously you probably have met some of your heroes. What was that encounter like with that for you?
Great question. There was a time where I could interview Denzel Washington for a press junket, and I said no because I didn't want to meet him. I didn't want the experience to be. I was like, I didn't know if I could meet the moment because in a press junket scenario, you have 4 minutes. You have 4 minutes to try to build a rapport with someone who's already spoken to 30 people that day, and they're just like, all right, it's 2:15. I get out of here by 4 o'clock. Like sometimes you can see that they're just like, and also they're getting the same. So why do you like this? What made you decide to choose this script?
Same
they're getting
questions.
the same 5 questions. So it was always a point of pride.
Well, one of the last questions I have like 2 more for you. If you had to build the ultimate dream team of interviews, 3 athletes, who are you choosing?
So athletes that I've enjoyed interviewing the most?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to consider the audience. Like, who would the audience get a big kick out of?
Yeah.
Entertainment wise. Okay, so the GOAT for me is Kobe Bean Bryant.
Of course, R.I.P.
Then probably Kevin Hart, because he's just so
legendary.
funny.
Just himself.
Yeah, and you can be physical with Kevin. I mean, he's just so funny. And then the third, let me just get a wild card in there. Like who do I think would be like great for vibes, and either like vibes, but also maybe vulnerable, also unhinged. God, probably an entertainer too, because they're not really like beholden by like a team where they have to like be on their P's and Q's as much. This is so out of left field. But he's not one of my all-time favorites though. I mean, one of my all-time, I guess I would say Will. Yep. I was thinking Keanu Reeves because he just like his temperament and temperature is just so different from me and Kevin. And then you need a contrast. Comedy requires tension. And so like if Will, Kevin, and Kobe and me, like Kevin, Will, and myself, we're all hams. And Cole would be like the straight man. So maybe we need another straight man for okay, so maybe I will go back to Keanu. Although I've only interviewed like one time. There's got to be someone that might be I should think who is.
It is a tough one though to narrow down to 3, to be honest.
I've never interviewed Ryan Gosling or Ryan Reynolds, and I would love to because those guys are. I mean, Ryan Reynolds is like a comedy genius.
Yep.
You know, for entertainment purposes, maybe I'll go Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman, he's a 5-tool player as far as and entertainment goes. He could sing, dance, act his ass off. He's charming as hell. Not known as being particularly funny, but I'm sure he could deliver a great line or two. And he's always committed to the bit. So that would be Kobe, Kevin Hart, Hugh Jackman, me.
Yeah, and I can see that because at least you guys can obviously like play off each other in a way where it doesn't feel like it's forced. Because I feel like that's another thing too. People can kind of see through that. So yeah, I think that's a good list. I think it's a good list.
Who would be on your list?
On mine? Oh man. Yeah, definitely Kevin Hart. I think would be one. I think Ryan Reynolds probably be just because of he can lean both ways, you know what I mean? But he also has a way of making everyone feel comfortable. Damn, I don't know who to think about the last one. I honestly, I'll probably say John Cena, to be honest.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm a big John Cena fan too, but I think because...
Shout out to Ricky Stenicki.
Oh, that was a great movie.
Yeah, it was very funny. And Andrew Santino and Zac Efron. And yeah, that's a fun movie.
Yeah, that's a fun movie too. So before we started recording, you know, you asked me a question if we knew each other, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, you just try to figure out. So shout out to my uncle for finding this picture, okay? So I'm going to tell you the story quickly.
Okay.
So it's 2007. I'm 10 years old, okay?
Oh my gosh, okay.
And this happened, the Raptors are in the playoffs. It was the first year. They're playing the Nets, I believe, in the first round, right?
Yeah. Chris Bosh, Vince Carter, and Jason Kidd.
And Richard Jefferson, like,
it
was their first, remember, it was like the all red, like, it was like the big theme. So shout out to my uncle for finding this picture. But here you go. I want to show you this picture of me and you.
Oh my gosh, dude. You're 10.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So this is like a full circle moment.
Where are we here?
So I was trying to figure that out too.
Make sure in the edit, you show this on screen because we need to let the people know like what we're referring to here. Oh my gosh. You look
How
like
crazy
my son,
is that?
Dude.
Yeah. And it's so crazy to have this moment, bro. So I appreciate this.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think we were before the arena. I think we got to the arena. So it's outside.
Okay.
But it was before the game started. And so since then, I was like, yo, since how nice you were from then. And like, that was like one of my like childhood moments where like getting to like meet one of like people that I see online, like that I looked up to.
Thanks.
So I was so appreciative for that. I hope you know like how much that meant to me.
I'm glad. That was awesome. Thank you for just showing like a great moment from the past. Like, wow, I was.
So this feels it's like a full circle moment to now be here, having the opportunity. So thank you for
nice to see you as a young man. And thank you for having me on the pod. This is a lot of fun.
Okay, of course. And the last thing before we get out of here is top 3 interviews you've done.
Top 3. Kobe in the... Which is my favorite Kobe? I mean, probably Kobe in the helicopter.
Yeah.
Let's see. Favorite hockey... I mean, I got to give it up to Mike Richards, who played for the LA Kings.
Yep.
He allowed me to eat Captain Crunch out of the Stanley Cup.
that is so dope. What?
We were at the after party in LA and we ate Captain Crunch out of the Stanley Cup. I did not deserve that privilege. I did not earn that privilege. I was given that privilege from someone whose life goal it was to have the honor to spend time with this cup. Even I have it as, that's 2. And then, baseball or football? I'm gonna this one. I got to play. I snuck in drones into the Green Bay Packers practice facility.
Wow!
We launched drones, and we had Aaron Rodgers throwing footballs at drones and hitting them out of the sky. And I called it Drone Jeopardy. He's a big Jeopardy fan.
Yeah.
Hosted Jeopardy. And that's one of my all-time favorite bits because I was so scared that we were going to get kicked out. The PR guy didn't know what we were doing. Aaron didn't know what we were doing. And then comes in there and like, all right, we're get ready for Drone Jeopardy. He's like, Drone Jeopardy? And then
what a concept though. That's brilliant.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it was a fun one. But yeah, those are my top 3.
Before we get out of here, what's one piece of advice you would give to someone?
Try to be either work on your writing or work on your reps, but try to be clever in whatever you're doing and find a way to differentiate yourself from your peers, which is very hard. It feels like almost everything's been done, but it doesn't mean that everything has been done well or done at a top tier level. So to separate yourself from peers, be clever, try to be original, and be consistent with it.
Listen, Cabbie, man, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Pleasure,
it was so much fun. If you ever want to come back on the show, I'd love to have you again.
Okay, will do.
Let the people know what you got going on and where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at The Real Cabbie, and every day from Monday to Friday on YouTube, we host a podcast called Off the Roster. So check us out.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Peace.